Why did he offer me the draw on move 1? Why did he refuse a draw if he offered me the draw on move 1? The title of this video is Psychological Warfare. Welcome back to my last final round, round 6 of the Amsterdam Chess Open. I have 3 out of 5. Going into round 6, my opponent is a almost 2,200 Twitch streamer by the name of Chess Guy. It is the first time I'm playing a fellow Twitch streamer at a game of chess over the board in a chess tournament. Crazy. So I have the white pieces, he has the black pieces, and we play e4. We always play e4. My opponent goes c6, which is the Carlsen defense. Now I had prepared something very deep against the Carlsen, and I was finally ready to play it today. I go d4, d5, and then knight c3. First time I ever play this in my life. I'm super proud of myself. Takes. I had prepared against bishop f5. Not that square, this square. And bishop f5 is the main line by far, and my opponent goes with knight f6. And here after knight f6, all I know is that you're supposed to take, and after that, I don't know anything. Second game in a row, I'm clueless in like 4 or 5 moves because of bad preparation. Here, white has a 4-on-3 in endgame terms. So I have 4 pawns, they have 3 pawns, that's a pawn majority. Whereas my opponent has a 4-on-3 on the king side in a possible endgame, but they have doubled pawns here. So it's a minor advantage. Also combined to that is that white has more space because of this d4 pawn. That's what I know, and that's what I see and tell myself right here at this opening, in which I don't know what to do. So how do I develop here? Apparently, you're supposed to go c3, bishop d3, bishop e3, or something like this, and then castle long, and then attack the black pieces on the king side with like h4, h5. I don't know this, so I'm going for a short castles. I go with bishop f4 first, which is totally not theory. Nobody has played this in their life. My opponent goes with bishop d6, which is the right move, I believe, yes. And then we trade bishops, and after trading bishops, I realize that I have a problem in development. You see, I developed my c1 bishop when I'm not intending to castle long. Meanwhile, I've facilitated the development of their king side bishop and facilitated them to castle short. They're castling before I can even breathe. I, on the other hand, still have 2 pieces on the castling side of my king, which is not good. So I play c3 here. The reason is I want to develop my bishop to c4, but this loses the entire game to queen b4 check, winning my bishop. So I play c3, another super slow move, and this is a huge mistake, in my opinion. Because after castles and knight f3, which I should have played bishop d3 here, and on check, I have knight e2, and on bishop g4, I have f3, and here, white is okay, I can castle on time, I'm good. I go with knight f3, another dubious move. After check, bishop b2, white is in trouble. Because there's just queen e7 here, and I can't castle. If I castle here, you take, usually there's a trap here with rook e1, but now black can take my queen and pin my rook, and there is no checkmate on e8, and I would be down a piece in this position. No bueno. So here, my opponent told me after the game, after queen e7, yeah, I just have king f1, but it's super annoying for me to play. This didn't happen. That's why they didn't play queen e7, which is weird. Bishop g4 was played. Crazy. And now this lets me castle and pray to God while I do it, because I just escaped trauma. By the way, there is something very special I forgot to mention in this game. At move 1, my opponent did something that has never happened to me in my life. My opponent offered me a draw. We were having lunch 2 days earlier, Friday, with his other friend, Elmar Holmes, which I've spoken about in game 2 of this recaps. And they joked between buddies that they always get paired against in tournaments. And now I get paired against his buddy and him in this round. And now I get offered with c6 draw offer. And if you see on ChessBase database, when he has played his buddy Elmar, he has offered a draw on move 1 or 2, and he actually has a game in the database from this exact position in which they drew in 2 moves. So he offers draws to his buddies, but we're not that close. We just met 2 days ago, yet I get a draw offer, 300 points of elo difference with c6 played. What do I do? My Twitch stream just started. I just started the game. I have to provide content. I'm the featured streamer of their tournament. I can't just accept a quick draw on move one, especially given that on Twitter, there's been a whole controversy about quick draws recently, and I really wanted to stay away from that. So I refused the draw. I said, let's keep on playing a little bit longer, and instead we go into this whole thing. So all of this time that we've been playing, I've been panicking in my mind that I should have accepted the draw offer because it's too good not to refuse. But I instead go into this opening in which it's a very shaky start, and after bishop h5, here after queen d2, after a lot of thinking, I offer him a drawback. I don't like my position. I don't like how this game started. This game is very ugly to me and boring. And psychologically, I'm destroyed from that first draw offer. I reverse Uno to him, draw offer back. And then he says, I'll play on. He plays knight f8. And now I'm really like overthinking everything. Why did he offer me the draw on move one? Why? Why did he refuse the draw if he offered me the draw on move one? Does he really like his position here? Maybe. Is black extremely winning? Not at all. It's completely equal. So I'm like just like overthinking everything at this point, and I go with rook e1. Very normal play ensues. Rook d8, rook d1. And then rook e7, trying to double up on the e file. And here I go for knight h4, a very draw-ish move. I'm threatening knight f5, which he's 2200, he'll see it. But more than that, I'm targeting this bishop to trade it off the board. If you go bishop here, I play, maybe I take here, knight takes, and I was like bishop f3, and this is, you know, a pretty equal endgame. But if you take, which he does with the rook, after this trade, we're trading down to a completely diluted equal endgame. Queen e6 is played, and this is even more drawish than my knight h4. Here you're attacking both my pieces, and there's no way I can defend both without trading queens. And this is an endgame that's very drawing. It looks very drawish. So I go f4 to keep my space and prevent some e5 things. And now after c5, I go knight f3. And the idea is after takes, rook takes, and not anything else, takes, and I would have a 3-on-2 majority on the king side, which is quite better for white actually. The knight g6 is played. Now I play g3 to defend. h5 has permission to go h4. I was very scared about this, so I went king f2. And on h4 things, my idea was just to trade here, and you know, this endgame is pretty fine. I'm up a pawn. I'll lose that pawn eventually, but it's at least a draw, right? Now king f7 is played, and I go with king e3. This threatens g4 things, or it really plays against h4. So on h4, I have g4, and now my f4 pawn is defended, and I look really nice. Knight e7 was played, which I predicted, because it's enticing to go check and force my king back. So I go back, and this was all planned. King e2 to defend my rook, and now I'm threatening to take this pawn. So you have two options as black. Three. You could take my pawn here, you could defend your pawn, or you could advance, and he advances. On takes, I like rook takes, just like we said before. And on push, I just like takes, pretty much forcing a trade here, and then this pawn is isolated and weak. I don't like this for black either. So c4 is probably the best case scenario for them, and now I go with knight d2. I'm attacking this weakness at full spin. b5 is played, a4 is played, and now a6 is played. a4 is a really good strategic move. You just want to totally massacre these pawns, and here you could just take on c4 and then rip through these two a pawns on the a file, and you're completely good. But a6 is played. He's a strong player. He won't play takes. So now we trade on b5, and I go rook a1. And this is a very important moment in the game, because white now has a slight edge. I have the only open file of this entire board. That's really worthwhile when there's a pair of rooks on the board, because rooks dominate on open files. And if you control the only open file, you're a monopoly in this business that we call the market. So I'm threatening rook a5, I'm threatening rook a7 to invade, and it's really good infiltration. This pawn is quite weak. Knight d5 is played, and now I go with rook a7 check. King g6, which I expected, and now I go for rook b7. And the psychological warfare continues. In this position, Black has trouble defending their b5 pawn. So I go, and I don't know the FIDE rules for this, so back me up in the comments. After playing rook b7, I ask my opponent Paul for another draw, reversing the psychology on him that if he refuses the draw this time, he's basically telling me he's playing for a win, basically down a pawn very soon. In a slightly less good position, his best intention is to accept the draw. Now we're on move 31. So offering a draw, usually tournaments are not keen on offering draws before 30 moves, but now that it was after 30 moves, offering my second draw seemed pretty natural here. b4 is played. I think it's the only good move. After c takes, now Black has to play h4 to be a little bit better. But he plays c3, which is not that good. Because after takes, king d3, knight back, my pawn is, it's better. It's just a really good pawn. It's in, I always mess up this word. I come up with extended pawn. It's not an extended pawn. It's a, what's it called? It's not an extended pass pawn. Outside pass pawn. Oh my goodness. So here we have an outside pass pawn. Okay, it's clear to go queen on itself. It's hard to push though. The more I push it, the less I have space for my rook, but those are minor issues, right? So here I go king e4, and my opponent goes check. And this is a huge key moment. If my opponent does not go check, let's say they play, I don't know, anything else. Here I thought, well, any rook move loses to f5, but here I thought that the black pieces don't really have any good moves, instead, unless they check my king. So check, king back here, and this is basically a draw offer. If we repeat moves 3 times, it's a draw, right? So in this position, I go ahead and I take the draw. My opponent offered me a draw on move 1. It's never happened to me before. I don't know why. And from then on out, I was not motivated to go for a win over my obsession of that draw. Maybe that's weak chess mentality, but for me, when that happens with a 300 rating point difference, on move 1, it's so brutal on the mind that it completely distracted me the entire game. My opponent, a week later, was rating my stream, and he told me that he played c6 and offered a draw for the respect of, I think for the respect he has for me as a chess content creator. I'll end it with this little mystery here. I have an option that I didn't see in the game. If I would have looked to not play a draw, I would have looked for it and probably found it. To play h4 with a minor advantage here for the white pieces. Although I let this rook come on in and probably win a couple pawns on the king side, it is risky. But here, h4 was the reason to play for a win. It's plus 0.6 in this position. Would you have played for a win? Knowing that you can mess up, knowing that you can plummet, and knowing, of course, the psychological deterrence on your mind from move 1, sorry. Would you have continued here, or would you have taken a draw against someone 300 elo above you? I finished 13th tied for 13th. We were like 13 players tied for 13th, which is an amazing feeling. And yeah, thank you to the organizers. Thank you to so many people who included me and said hi to the fans as well. A few people came over and said hi to me, which was such a blessing. Thank you to all of you for watching this, of course. And that is the conclusion of our season 3, tournament number 3, the Amsterdam Chess Open, locking away our 3rd country, the Netherlands. Our next tournament is soon. Buckle your seatbelt, it's a big one.